This is Soren Scribner here for the Celtic Phoenix blog. Sitting here with Scott Hanna. Let you describe it.
I'm a major inker for Marvel and DC Comics. I've worked on pretty much every superhero for both companies. If you can think of a character, I've probably drawn it at some point.
Yeah, I was looking you up last night because I know a little bit, but not that much, and looking for something maybe to talk about. And one webpage estimates you've done, I can't remember, it was either 10 or 18,000 pages.
18,000 is closer, yeah. That's actually, I think that was a couple of years ago, so I'm getting close to the 20,000 mark as far as pages inked so far in my career, yeah.
What are some of the, major books that you've done a good run on, or really seminal issues on maybe runs that aren't that well known?
Probably my two biggest high-profile things are earlier in my career I worked on Batman for 5 years on a 5-year run on Detective Comics, which included the whole Nightfall storyline where we broke Batman's back. You know, the character Bane was introduced, we broke his back, we replaced him with Azrael, and then the whole coming back. So it was Nightfall, Night Quest, Night's End, a big storyline was included in that 5-year run. Then I had about a 15-year run on various Spider-Man titles, including a very long run on Amazing Spider-Man with J. Michael Straczynski writing and John Romita Jr. penciling and me inking. And since then, I've worked on 2 years of Green Lantern Corps and the New 52 of DC Comics. I'm working right now on Ultimate End, on Amazing Spider-Man, on Web Warriors, on Superman, Lois and Clark. I'm just starting Wonder Woman, just a couple things.
So let's get down to inking. You said inker. Most people probably look in the book and they see inker and they probably think, what the hell is that? And most people probably, the only reference they have to what an inker actually does is from Kevin Smith's Chasing Amy.
Exactly.
With the whole Banky character.
Yeah.
And the Scott Moser character call him an inker. Pretty much he lays out what you do is you go over the pencils, you add depth and shading, and that makes the picture what the picture is.
That's a very good description. Yeah, basically the inker is responsible for the printed black plate of a comic book. So the penciler does all the initial drawing and the major storytelling, which is a major part of the process. The inker is the one that refines it, hopefully makes it a little bit better, adds texture, detail, shading if necessary, and then if there's any pencil left, you erase it. So what shows up in the printed comic book is the black ink line, and then the coloring gets put on top of the black ink line. And one of my favorite things to do as an inker is frequently in a comic book it'll say something like breakdowns or layouts by one artist and finishes by another artist. That actually implies that the supposed inker is actually doing more, because what we're doing is we're finishing the pencils and then we're inking it. And that's one of my strengths because I love to draw so much. I love doing that finishing and putting more of my own personality in. But I also do, the majority of my work is straight inking over sometimes loose or sometimes very tight pencils depending on the artist.
Well, what got you into inking professionally or just going into that stream of line?
When I first was growing up, I used to read comics, but I never thought of comics as a job. I thought of it as a great hobby. I loved to do it. I drew superheroes, but I went off to art school in New York City not expecting to go into comics. I thought I majored in illustration. I thought I would do book covers, album covers, advertising artwork. Turned out a lot of my buddies in art school were all into comics as well, but I still refrained from really going directly into comics. So I tried other things out of college. I really didn't enjoy it. It was hard work. And my buddies from art school, who some of them were working in comics already, said, "Oh, Scott, we actually know an inker in comics who needs an assistant, and he needs somebody to work with him for a while." So I said, "Okay, I'll try out the assistant thing to find out the specifics about comics that are very different than all other forms of illustration." And I tried it. I found out I was actually very good at it. I got work right away in the industry, and I was like, wow, I'm having fun, I like it, I'm good at it, and they pay me for it. so it was kind of like a no, it was an easy decision once I finally got into it, because it was kind of like where I belonged.
I guess for those out there who want to get into comic books, but they can't necessarily draw, how much actual drawing ability, like realistic drawing ability, do you actually?
You actually need it. Generally, in the world of illustration, comic books is considered to be one of the hardest forms of illustration, because you frequently have to make up most of this stuff from your imagination, which requires skill in drawing, intense skill in drawing faces, figures, hands, body language, visual storytelling, environments. All that stuff is really, really hard to do, and most comic book artists have to know how to do all of it. And it's also a very competitive field. So there are a lot of people who want to do this job, so you have to be as good or better than all those other people who want to do the same job. So it does take a lot of skill, a lot of knowledge, but if you can do it, it's really, really fun.
So, I mean, you said you're coming up to working on Wonder Woman. Any other books you're looking at?
Well, actually, this week I've got a new book coming out, which is Superman, Lois and Clark #1. It's written by Dan Jurgens, penciled by Lee Weeks. I'm doing the inking. It's a phenomenal book. The writing's great. The artwork is gorgeous. So I'm really, really happy about that one. That's literally just coming out this week. I've also got a new book from Marvel, which is Web Warriors, where we're having all the characters that were in the Spider-Verse, which are like the alternate versions of Spider-Man. We've got Spider-Gwen, we've got Spider-Girl, we've got Spider-Man Britain, Spider-Man India, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Ham. All those characters are in it. So that's a really fun team book. And then I'm starting Wonder Woman, and I've also been working on Cyborg.
So I guess out of the characters that you've done a lot of characters in the past, which characters that maybe you haven't done or that you have done in the future, which characters would you say you'd like to maybe take a shot at? Maybe not necessarily a 2-year run on a character, but maybe like if someone was offered to you like maybe a 6-issue story arc or something like that.
Well, I've actually, at Marvel, I've done almost every major character that I really love. At DC, there are quite a few characters that I haven't gotten a long run on yet, or a substantial storyline. Green Arrow is one of the ones that I've always liked. Hawkman is another character I've always liked, and I haven't had long runs on either of those books yet. So something like that is always fun, and hopefully I'm in this business for the long term, so eventually something usually comes around where I get an opportunity to work on it. So those are two the characters that I really enjoy. Last year I was actually offered Arrow based on the the Arrow TV series, and unfortunately I was too busy. I had to pass it up and turn it down, so hopefully that'll get offered to me again in the future, so I might have a good run on it once I get the chance.